All right, let's just jump right in. If you're a leader, a manager, or even just part of a team, you know this struggle. You've got everything lined up, but one or two people, well, they can be a real challenge. Today, we're not just talking about how to manage them. We're going to go deeper to understand them and, believe it or not, turn them into some of your best people. Man, this really hits home, doesn't it? You can feel that frustration. It's that moment when you realize the project isn't the problem. It's the people dynamics that are grinding everything to a halt. It's a pain that pretty much every leader feels, but just admitting it, that's the first step to actually fixing it. And here it is, the big idea for today. What if that person who's driving you crazy isn't the actual problem? What if their behavior is just a symptom? A big flashing sign pointing to something deeper that's broken in the team or the workload, or maybe even in your own system. If we learn to read these signals, we can stop putting out fires and actually fix the cause. So let's become decoders. We're about to break down the 6 most common types of so-called annoying workers. We'll get into the psychology of why they do what they do, and most importantly, find a clear, actionable way to handle it. First up, the underperformer. You know the one. They're always behind, deadlines are just suggestions to them, and the excuses are wearing thin. Now, it is so easy to just label this as laziness, but let's pause. There's this thing called the job demands resources model, and it basically says this is a classic sign of burnout. When the demands just keep piling up and the resources, time, support, clear instructions are nowhere to be found, performance is the first thing to go. They're not just failing, they're signaling that the whole system is out of balance. So the fix here is to diagnose before you discipline. Is their plate just completely overloaded? Are the goals actually clear or just clear in your head? Sometimes just rebalancing their tasks or taking a moment to celebrate a small success can be the spark that reignites their confidence and gets them back on track. Try support first. The resistor. Every single new idea is met with a heavy sigh and a whole laundry list of reasons it's doomed to fail. The psychology here is really fascinating. Self-determination theory tells us that this resistance, it usually isn't about being stubborn. It's about fear. It's the fear of losing control, or the fear of not being good enough to keep up with the new way of doing things. Change feels like it's threatening their very sense of being capable. So how do you fix it? You give them back the very thing they feel like they're losing. Pull them into the process. Ask for their opinion, sincerely. You could even make them a pilot tester for the new system. The moment you empower them, you can watch that resistance completely transform into powerful advocacy. Okay, next up, the gossip. That constant negative chatter can just poison a team's morale, right? But according to social identity theory, gossip is often just a clumsy attempt to connect with others, especially when the official communication channels have failed. It thrives in an information vacuum where people feel left out and in the dark. The solution, then, isn't to try and silence the gossip, it's to make it totally irrelevant. How? Be ridiculously transparent. Share company updates, good and bad, openly and often. When people feel like they're included and they know what's going on, gossip just loses all its power. And then a quiet, private chat about the real-world impact of their words can help redirect that social energy in a better way. Now, the office bully, this is a serious one. They're the ones who dominate meetings, talk over people, and criticize others in public. This kind of behavior is almost always a sign of deep, deep insecurity and a total lack of what we call psychological safety. In places where people are terrified of being seen as incompetent, some will resort to controlling or belittling others just to feel a little bit powerful. As a leader, your number one job here is to protect your team. Period. This means you have to set and enforce zero-tolerance boundaries for disrespectful behavior. You have to model the respect you expect, and you have to create an environment where every single person feels safe enough to speak up without fear of getting shot down. We all know the social butterfly. They're so much fun, they're full of energy, but their 2-hour chat by your desk can completely derail your entire afternoon. This isn't coming from a bad place, it's just a really high need for social connection that's a little misdirected. They bring great energy, it just lacks focus. So don't crush their spirit. Channel it. Put them in charge of team-building events. Give them a role where they're talking to customers, and their social skills become a huge asset. The trick is to leverage their natural strengths while also gently but firmly holding them accountable for their main job. And finally, the victim. For them, nothing is ever their fault. It's always someone else's problem. And this isn't just about dodging blame, it's a real psychological state called learned helplessness. They've somehow come to believe, probably through bad past experiences, that their actions don't matter and that they have zero control over what happens to them. To break this cycle, you have to shift the whole conversation from blame to ownership. Instead of getting sucked into their complaints, start using coaching questions. Things like, okay, I hear you. What's one small step you can take? Or, in this whole situation, what's the one thing you actually have control over? Every tiny success helps them rebuild that sense of agency. Okay, phew, we've decoded the 6 signals. Now it's time to assemble our toolkit. You see, a good leader doesn't just react to what they see, they diagnose the root cause. And these psychological frameworks we've been talking about, they are the tools that let you do just that. Think of this as your leadership cheat sheet. It connects the behavior you're seeing on the surface to the right framework. Is someone's performance tanking? Check the job demands resources model. Are they fighting every change? Look to self-determination theory. Is there a culture of fear? That's about psychological safety. This proves that every behavior is a form of communication. You just need the right decoder ring to understand the message. So now that we have the diagnostic tools, let's build them into a simple, memorable action plan. I promise, it all boils down to just 3 steps. Here's the magic formula. First, diagnose the why. Is this a skill problem that needs training, a motivation problem that needs empowerment, or an environment problem that you need to fix? Second, act fast and stay fair. Don't let these issues fester. And third, reinforce the good. Actively look for them doing something right, because positive recognition is the most powerful tool you have for shaping behavior. This slide right here shows the critical difference. The reactive manager lets things slide, and then explodes. The leader, on the other hand, acts quickly, privately, and fairly. They are crystal clear about expectations, they have a respectful conversation about the gap, and they establish a clear consequence if things don't change. It's about being direct, not dramatic. So, does this stuff actually work in the real world? Oh, absolutely. Let me share a quick story that shows how this shift from just reacting to actually diagnosing can completely turn a situation around. The situation was a total classic. A company was rolling out some new software, and a senior, really well-respected employee was the biggest roadblock. She complained all the time, found fault with every little thing, and was just dragging the whole team's morale down. A textbook resistor. But instead of reprimanding her, her manager diagnosed the signal. He realized her resistance wasn't defiance. It was fear of becoming irrelevant in this new digital world. So he completely reframed her role. He made her the digital champion and put her in charge of training everyone else. By giving her ownership and a new sense of confidence, she went from being the biggest critic to the strongest advocate in less than a month. It was incredible. And that right there is the ultimate takeaway. These difficult employees, they aren't obstacles. They're opportunities. They're a test of your ability to see past the surface level behavior and diagnose the real unmet need underneath. So it all comes down to this. Real leadership isn't about fixing people's flaws. It's about understanding them well enough to unlock their hidden potential. The only question left is, whose potential are you going to unlock next?